Maravilha. Tá lá em Toronto, ela? Que maravilha. David.
É que me dá preguiça. Ah, você acha que eu ia fazer isso em casa? Parece, claro que não. Eu comi tanto ontem, janei hoje. A minha consciência está tão feliz. Isso aqui é meu. Tudo que você imaginar. Quantas foram? Na casa do amigo dele. Era... Eu comi peru, e tudo. Aí eu fiz mousse maravilhoso, fiz brigadeiros. Aí eu comi que não doce, eu fui lá ontem pegar os bombons. Ai, deve ser trouxe. Não, então. a amiga aqui, meu irmão que mora em Cima, aí ela veio pra cá. Foi visitar o irmão e eles estão passeando. Aí minha prima falou, minha amiga tá indo aqui escreveu. E eu, tipo, mãe, do nada, eu não quero nada, eu não sei de nada. Mas eu falei, vem cá, não, um som de vaso, um branco e um piso branco. Eu trouxe dois pacotes de casa. Nossa! Mas aí eu comprei quase dela. Falei, deixa na descrição do seu dela, que eu vou buscar. Ela esqueceu, gente. Tava onde? Ela tava no carro. Mas hoje eu não sei. O meu desespero. Bis? Bis, ela bis. Sempre que ela assiste no fone de golfe, isso já é
Oh, the purple one.
Well, there's a blue box and there's a white one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know
I
which
love
one.
the blue.
Yeah.
Oh,
the black one.
What's that?
The black one.
Diamante negro.
With like little sugar
Oh,
crystals in it.
yeah. That one.
Yeah, that one's not really way.
E eu já comi de manhã, acordei e disse, cara, comi cupcake já.
I think we overdid it. We cooked for like 40, 60 people, and it was only like 15 of us. That's how much food there was.
No, it was 20 pessoas.
But we, basically everything was triple. We had like 6 sisters.
Na casa da filha dela. E amanhã. Amanhã.
Amanhã.
Quarta-feira eu vou tentar.
Sim.
On Tuesday,
I'm going to put the joke.
On Tuesday, I'm sorry.
não delícia.
I have mushrooms at home too. And I'm gonna have all this candy and chocolate. Oh my god. But I'm gonna try to do it.
What about você?
For my second thing,
Join us, making your questions here in the chat. Chat. Wow. Awesome. It's not good. Oops. All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start with harmonization reading here. It comes from the Gospel according to Spiritism. It's a little piece of the text, The Law of Love, on chapter 11. Love summarizes Jesus' doctrine in its entirety because it is the sentiment par excellence, and sentiments are instincts raised to be the height of the degree of progress accomplished. At their origin, humans have only instincts, more advanced and corrupt. They have only sensations. More educated and purified, they have sentiments. The exquisite apex of sentiment is love. Not love in the ordinary sense of the term, but that inner sun that condenses and joins in its adornment, focal point, all suprahuman aspirations and revelations. The love replaces the personality in the union of all beings and extinguishes social misery. Happy are they who overcome in their human nature love with great love their brothers and sisters in suffering. Let's pray. Can you please turn off the light, Luis, please? Let us elevate our souls to the sentiment of love. Let us feel how good it is to be loved, how good it is to love. Dear Father, we appreciate the opportunity of being here today, of being loved by you, by the mentors of this house, by our Master Jesus. We kindly ask you, Lord, let us be a fraternal community that through love express the progress of this world, elevating our thinking, our sentiments, and developing virtues that will help us to be part of the celebration of our regeneration world. May our meeting, may our day be enlightened. May today, our Thanksgiving Day, be fulfilled of gratitude between brothers and sisters in love to you. So be it. Thank you very much. You can turn on the lights now. Welcome, everybody. We have a new face here today. Welcome, Daniel. And today we will talk. You can pause the music. There you go. You're a good man. We will talk about a sequence of reflections that we are talking about the world's changing. We already talked about what was the first one. Now is can you feel it? I don't recall right now. Let me check if I can find here easily to tell you. Are you ready? The first one was, are you ready? This is based on the Gospel of John, the Spirit's book, the Gospel according to Spiritism, and a seminar and book that's not translated to English yet, which is Earth, a World in Regeneration and You. Our objective today is to clarify Earth's current process of transition from trial expiation world to the regenerative world or world of regeneration, and what is our own duty with this change. Okay? Spirit's book. This wonderful book here that's celebrated last year 165 years. or sorry, 160 years. Isn't everybody familiar with the word prolegomena, or prolegomeno in Portuguese? This is a part of after the introduction. It's something that in the spirits book especially is signed by many spirits, like Saint John the Evangelist, Saint Augustine, Saint Paul, Saint Vincent de Paul, Saint Louis, the Spirit of Truth, Socrates, Plato, Philemon, Franklin, and many other spirits. So this is a basic part, introduction part of the Spiritism, the book of the Spirits book. Sorry. And there is a paragraph that I would like to bring in the very beginning of our reflections today that says, the spirits announce that the times marked by providence have come for a universal manifestation, and that, being the ministers of God and the agents of His will, their mission is to instruct and enlighten man, opening a new era for the regeneration of humanity. Well, this is very, very important to us because opening a new era. So basically, as this is a part of the introduction of the Spirits book, they are saying, what's the role of the spirits with this new era? And it's pretty clear here that ministers of God, agents of His will. They are here to help us or instruct us and enlighten us for this new era. But we often say regeneration planet, right? But what is a regeneration planet? That's my first question of the day. What is a regeneration planet?
Planet where human beings are in the process of being regenerated. They're working on it. They're not there yet. They're maybe on the second. They're in one of the steps of regeneration.
That's a good point. Let's look the way they put this word in here. Opening a new era for the regeneration of humanity, not the regeneration of the world, because the world itself is constituted by spirits that inhabit this world. And who really need to be regenerated is not the world, it's us. Right? Does it make sense? So our master has said in John chapter 14, item 1 to 4, do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms, or many places in some translations. If that were not so, I would have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. This is part of the chapter 3 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. as many of you are aware, the gospel according to Spiritism is based in reflections of the gospel of Jesus. So all the chapters start with some passage of the gospel of Jesus and do the interpretation, because many of these passages are in parables, and which are our intelligence sometimes doesn't touch the fulfillment of that parable. So in this specific part here, Jesus is telling us there are many rooms in the house of God. What does it mean? Oh, there is a lot of planets, that's for sure, right?
Yeah,
But many people like NASA keep saying, oh, we didn't find life yet in other planets. Oh, that's a very, very important piece of it, for sure. And this is exactly that. Jesus is already announcing that there are many places, many stages of life in our Father's house. So every single stage is inhabited by life, but not exactly the way we see or feel in this specific planet. Maybe there are other planets exactly in the same stage that we are in the trial expiation process. But maybe no, most likely yes, because there are some trillions of planets around. Many even say that the moons around planets have the capability to have life, just like Earth. But where I'm trying to get in here, Jesus is announcing something. And the spirits in this chapter 3 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, they reveal more specific what Jesus was trying to announce there. On the intermediate worlds, there is a mixture of good and evil in the predominance of one or another according to the degree of advancement, or we can use also the word evolvement here. Although it is not possible to make an absolute classification of the various worlds, one can nevertheless, due to their status and destiny, and based on the more accentuated differences, divide them in a general way as follows. Primitive worlds, intended for the first incarnations of the human souls. Worlds of trial and expiation, where evil dominates. Regenerative worlds, or world of regeneration. I would like more to say world of regeneration, because for me to say regenerative world, my tongue goes blows. But it's anyway, where souls who still have something to expiate may absorb new strength by resisting from the fatigue of struggle. Very important. Happy worlds where good overweights evil, and heavenly or divine worlds, the habitations of purified spirits, where good reigns completely. Well, we could say that there is a gradient here, right? So as the spirit evolves from its first incarnations, and we could say from our ignorance or humbleness and the mean of simplest, goes to trial and expiation, where we can see evil dominating, then pass through a process of expiation where it's already in the mid-ground between good and evil, then pass to a world that good overweights evil. So majority are good. And finally, purely expiated or purified spirits, where good reigns completely. Earth belongs to the second level that we saw. Belongs to trial and expiation category. And that is why humans on it are the target of so many miseries. Wow, that's a pretty hard statement. But do we see miseries in this world that we live? Daily. Yeah, unfortunately, daily. If we look back, did we see more miseries happening or not? And I'm really targeting here not just miseries caused by destruction, but much more to moral related thing. For example, do we see people being killed on public squares these days? We do see a little bit, just a little bit. 100 or 200 years ago, that was the normal state. Every single country in the world had a public square where we would bring people to be killed, and everybody would go there to watch it and cheer for it. Not long ago, black people were considered slaves just because of the color of the skin. Not long ago, women were considered not capable to vote, right? In a day that we're talking about voting. Anyways, with that said, I would like to bring a new way to see this. Please, this is not a perfect model, but helps us to understand a little bit more what the spirits were teaching us. And that text specifically comes from the spirit Saint Augustine, which is very important spirit for the spiritist codification. So here is what we're gonna do. Let's create a chart where here we have planet population, and here we have a moral evolvement. As we saw, the moral evolvement starts in primitive worlds, right? Then we have trial and expiation, regeneration, happy, and finally heavenly world. So, does anybody have a clue how to draw something that can represent the population of a planet here? Just a bar would represent the whole population? No? A bar like this then? Have you ever heard, and then probably the engineers will be more, understand a little more what I'm trying to get in here. Have you ever heard about normal distribution, or also called Gaussian distribution? I'm pretty sure that all of you have seen this curve before. This curve mainly marks used a lot in statistics. So if we take parts of it, this is 5%, in this part, 5%, and represents the average on the top here. So this is a sample, in Portuguese, amostra, of anything you want to do. If you work with quality, for example, I measure the quality of my product. I will always have products that in bad quality. Some of them are perfect, really perfect. But what I really want is most of them being the average. Is it making clear more or less now? Okay, so if we understand that each one of us is a little point, just like that red dot there, little points constituting many parts of this distribution. Okay? And we see those people really, really good, elevated. They just don't look like from this world. Does somebody have an example here? Bring me an example, come on. Someone that was, wow, this guy doesn't look like from Earth. His mind is so elevated, morally, intellectually, that doesn't look like from Earth. Give me an example, come on. Chico Xavier is a very good example. For example, do we see him in this part of the chart? Probably not. Do we see him in the average and the big chunk of the graph? Also no. So looks like he is the little piece in front of the chart. Well, let's go to the other side. Do we see people really primitive? And I'm not saying primitive in the evil side, but primitive in this world. Do we see like people look like doesn't have any knowledge, even from other incarnations? Don't we? We have to remind what in the Spirit's book says. The creation is continuing, doesn't stop. So there is always new spirits being created by the Father. So there are spirits in here. Yes, there is a world that the majority, so all this distribution here will be here. Most of it, right? Those are this primitive world. So how can we say, based in this distribution, where the population of the Earth is? How can we say where the average is? So if we could cut right in the middle of it, we could say most of it's in this side, most of it's in this side. So yeah, we have a pretty good idea of the average, right? That helping is a little bit confused. It's perfect clear. Please let me know if you have any doubt. Interrupt me, because from here we will start the logic. So, where the St. Augustine Spirit said that we are again? Trial and expiation, but in a process of transition. So looks like we're pretty close to this. And again, I gotta repeat this. This is not a perfect diagram. I'm just trying to create a better idea, because pretty sure that this fades in each other here, just like here, or just like this fades in, right? One merge to the other. It's not a from the X, it will happen. Actually, the spirits and the spiritist codification say that decades, maybe centuries take from this passage happens. Then I brought an important clue here. What differentiates this line to be here or here? What dimension? There is a third dimension that I can't represent in this graph here. Time. Exactly. Time makes this thing happen. Make sense? So as this thing evolves from here to here, this means time. Can it take more time? Can it be slower? Yes or no? Depends on what? On us. For sure. Because we are the dots inside this curve. And if we don't want to move, what is going to happen? We will be stuck. But can we do this? Can the curve come back? Is it possible to degenerate? This is not possible, right? So can we be dumb again? Can we be in a primitive world? Or if then this is all in Spirit's book, okay? So can I reincarnate in some inferior states of life, such as animals or plants? Can we do that? No, the spirits are very clear that's impossible because we don't lose knowledge. Knowledge is always with us. So as we evolve, the knowledge keeps growing inside of us. Okay? But there is a difference between having the knowledge and evolving. What is the difference? Practice, exercising, living, feeling. Doesn't. Oh, please. Sit down here with us. I feel bad, like, see, you called more attention than if you just said. No, please. You're more than welcome being here. No worries. So we're talking about the transition of the world, okay? And we just detected that we are in the trial and expiation, migrating to regeneration. So, as we just discussed, or dialogue, because we didn't fight here, just trying to get in a logic on how things happen. What really needs to happen right now for us to be in a regeneration world? What needs to happen now to this curve? It needs all the curve to be in the yellow area. The majority. Right on. So if we advance just a little bit, we will see lots of difference. And this is very important for us because, again, each one of us is a little part. Well, I can be here. You can be here. We construct this thing. Now, what defines, again, trial and expiation world? Evil dominates. What constitutes our happy world? The good overweights. So can we say that the regeneration world is just a transition between evil and good? Why? Look at that. can we still see some evil in a happy world? Overweight doesn't mean that doesn't happen, but very little. Just as we come back and look at when we were talking about Chico Xavier, he was a point in the blue, but the majority was here. So this is very important. This transition needs to happen so we all get to there, or the majority. But there are many other ways of progressing. Does a spirit always evolve in the same planet? What do you think? There is two things according to two types of migration. Immigration with I and immigration with E. What is the difference between them? Imigração e emigração.
Immigrate when you come in and immigrate when you go out.
That's perfectly exactly that. So, are there spirits coming in, helping us to evolve faster? What do you think? More evolved spirits. You just said that sounded like Chico Xavier wasn't from this world, right? Because he was above the average. Well, many superior spirits such as Emmanuel, Joana de Angelis, and others have been telling us for a while that more evolved spirits are coming to Earth to boost this process of transition. But is there immigration? Are there spirits living here? What do you think? Yes. And who would leave Earth? Those who insist in stay in the trial and expiation state, or even primitive state, because there is a free will law. We have free will to evolve, or we have free will to stay. Degenerate won't happen, but we will stay where we are. And as the majority evolves, some are invited to leave. So how could I represent that? A little flags coming from this and being invited, okay, now I'll keep on going in another planet, that's fine. It's still divine justice and still divine love for us. Why justice and love for us? Well, what will happen with the majority if they're already not in a state of crimes, for example, anymore? I don't like to see a person be killed on a public square anymore, because most likely most of us were in that public square a few centuries ago. But what does it happen? That spirit that is creating that sentiment of evil or not feeling good is not helping the most of the curve. Most of the people inside here doesn't tolerate, or I don't think tolerates the best world, but doesn't fit anymore with that feeling. So that's not helping. And then that spirit needs to keep on going with same state of evolvement spirits. And why this is important for us? Because we are in the middle of this transition, as we said. And this is the time that sometimes we see very odd things happening in this world that we're living. Are we good with change? Not usually, right? We don't really like to change. Why?
Change means that you have to work on something and open your perception and do some things different that you used to.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is hard, like it's not complicated.
Demands hard work.
Yeah.
And
you are just in this comfort zone.
yeah.
That,
And let's take a simple thing like moving from one home to another, or moving from one country to another. Most of us here did, or all of us did. Moving from one country to another is easy. Is it easy? Now imagine you changing the way your immortal spirit is, the sentiment. Remember the text that we opened the study today? The sentiment of this spirit. Living sentiment of evil, like liking being in a public square watching, or being in a coliseum watching animals eating Christians, to be an evolved one that, no, I don't like this anymore. Is it easy? It's probably way, way harder than moving from Brazil to Canada, or from Colombia to Canada. So this is a very important point for us to understand. It's not easy to change. Demands of hard work, as Marianne mentioned. And what are we invited to change, really? Ourselves internally. Because every single dot here matters. Every single dot, every single one of us. So if I change the way I am helping the whole world to evolve. Developing virtues is not easy, as many of you have been seeing a few weeks ago or 2 weekends ago in that seminar that we were talking about virtues. It is not easy to develop virtues, but is it impossible? And why virtues? Because virtues are noble sentiments, noble feelings that connect us to divine laws. In other words, connect us to God, God's will. So, with that said, St. Augustine also says in that chapter 3, the earth, according to the law, was once materially and morally in a state inferior to today. And under this dual aspect, it will reach a more elevated degree. It has reached at one of its periods of transition, in which from being a expiatory world, it will become, I hate this word, a regeneration one. Then humans will be happy because God's law will reign on it. Present perfect, right? Past already happened. Look at the year. Who believes that 2019 is going to be the year of doom? Is wrong. It's wrong because it already started about 100 years ago or 150 years ago. And this is very important for us. Just a second. As we change, what we do with that curve that we saw? What was the third dimension that we talked? Time. The time will come faster or slower. Already 150 years. Yes, Bruno, go ahead, please.
I know what it is, but
well, there are many people who misunderstand what Chico Xavier has said. There is a program in Brazil, very popular, it's still in YouTube, and many people watch, called Pinga Fogo. I don't know how to drop fire. Not a good translation, but anyways, it was an interview program where Chico was sitting there and many people were asking questions. And at some point he mentioned about if there is no massive wars, if there is no nuclear war by 2019, the world will see big changes coming fast. Look, he never said that 2019 exactly is the date, but by that, if nothing bad happens, and we still have a year to go, or actually not a year, sorry, it's a few months, but we will start seeing a progress, evolvement being quicker than before. I can't even, and we're kind of running out of time, but let's do another graph here.
thank you.
Let's say this is time, and here is 115, or let's take year 0, year 150, or 1500, and where we are now. And this is moral. Well, I just inverted the curve now to put it another way to see. Morally, we don't crucify people anymore. So we can say that was morally pretty bad, right? And then still pretty bad because we were burning people in public squares, decapitating people. Do we do this today? No, we don't do this. Does women have the right to vote? Do we like slavery? This was very normal here, not so normal here, not normal anymore. So we can say this curve is going this, pretty quick, really, really quick. And this is very important because when we say this transition is coming faster and faster now, and from what Chico Xavier said, that's what we are already seeing. and could be even faster. We are seeing intellectually, we are evolving pretty quick as well. And this curves like moral and intellectual evolvement, just compare. Try to pick up your phone and go 10, 15, 50, 200 years ago. 200 years ago, they would burn you in the public square because they would call sorcery. 50 years ago, they would call you crazy and probably put in the jail. Or 20 years ago, oh, you're stupid, you're just visionary. 10 years ago, wow, that's nice. So morally, we are evolving as well. So does it help you with the question? I will pass this point. We'll pass this as well. And I will go to the last question of the Spirit's book. When Kardec asks the spirits, the very last question, 1019 or 1019, will the kingdom of good ever be realized on earth? I'm sorry, this earth should be capitalized. What do you think? Will the kingdom of good ever be realized on earth? Well, we talked all the meeting about this. If you think that was not, I am humbly leave the place because I didn't achieve. Yes, it will, right? But let's see what the spirits answer. The good will reign on earth when, among the spirits who come to inhabit, the good outnumber the evil ones. They will be enable love and justice. Remember that we talked about love and justice before? The source of goodness and of happiness to reign on earth. It is through good moral progress and the practice of laws of God that human will attract good spirits to earth and repel the evil ones. However, the evil ones will only live after humans are banished. Humans are banished pride and selfishness from the planet. What is pride and selfishness?
Ego.
Wants. Two biggest wants of humankind or humanity. This is those two sentiments are good or bad. Are they virtues or the opposite of virtues? Okay, so if they're bad, what is the good side, or how can I transform this sentiment in a good one? What is the opposite of pride? Humbleness, humility. Is it a virtue, humility? Yeah. Do we have pride? All of us. Sorry to say that, but all of us. Some express more through tweets or saying, no. Some really like to say, I am the best. And you know what? A few years ago, that was normal. Now, seeing some people doing it, that sounds so awkward, right? Like, why? Because we are leaving our own pride as well behind. Selfishness, egoismo. What is the opposite of it? Altruism. Altruism is really, really well connected to a virtue that you all should know very well because it's in the name of this Spiritist Center. Fraternity. As we practice fraternity, as we become more fraternal, we leave behind our selfishness and we look to the other as the same as us. And we extend the hand and come with me, let's go together. I don't want to leave you behind. Continuing the answer, all of you, men and women of faith and goodwill, work therefore to zeal and courage for the great work of regeneration. For you will reap hundredfold of grain of wheat, hundredfold the grain of wheat that you have sown. Unfortunate are those who close their eyes to the light, for they are preparing long centuries of darkness and sorrow for themselves. What is this? Reap hundredfold the grain of wheat that you have sown. This is the hard work that you mentioned. The work of sowing our own hearts with seeds of love, with seeds of virtues. But unfortunately, not everybody wanted it. And this is all I did, that introduction of between immigration and immigration, just because of this, because when the spirits say that they are preparing long centuries of darkness and sorrow for themselves, well, they're just going to stay on the same state of sin violence, sin evilness all around. And they're doing it to themselves, not God, who is punishing them. There is no law of punishment. That needs to be very clear within our hearts. There is no law of punishment. There is law of action and reaction. That is very different. The action and reaction, this themselves, we can put ourselves.
That only shows how perfect is God and their laws, right? So those will receive the opportunity to go to another world that's a little behind us and help them to evolve.
Help them to evolve.
So if you go back like the Old Testament, actually the Old Testament is the history of the Jewish people. And you feel a lot of the sentiment of being excluded, to being downgraded. It's about Adam and Eva, and how there was expulsion. How can I say expulsion? From the paradise, and then have to work hard, right? And those Jewish people, they had a great opportunity to come to Earth and bring something new that was one God. Before that, this civilization believed in multiple gods. So they helped us evolve as well. And there, you see in the Old Testament, they talk about the promised land, right? That is actually the opportunity that they will have after struggling here, go back where they came from. Okay.
Yeah, there is a very good introduction to what I was going to say. It's very important and well related to this. There are two. Whoever is interested in gathering more information about this, but information that you can rely. Not sometimes you see so many things talked about this, There is a movie. Yes, Guilherme, you guys are done there. You have to show us something. Okay, I need 3 minutes. Okay, thank you. Not the information, like there is a movie on YouTube called Data Limit or Limited Date. That's horrible. Mix spiritism with ufology and talks about this 2019 date and mix all the things. This is not a good source of information. There is one book called On the Way to the Light from Emmanuel that talks a lot about what Mr. Souza is talking about here. The immigration of spirits that came to Earth from a planet called Capella, and this immigration became the Egyptians, the Jewish people from the very first Jewish people, the Indian people, and so very good source, very good idea what happens in this process of immigration and emigration. The other source is a text that's in the Spiritist magazine of October 1866 that Kardec published. Spiritist magazine was a publication made by Kardec that a spirit goes through a very long text telling the process of this process of transition. And in this text is very clear that yes, there will be sorrow. This spirit even say that the number of suicides will increase during the process of transition, even among the children. Are we seeing this happening? So we are in the middle of a process very turbulent. It's tough, but at the same time, there is hope because that text is not talking about this. This is just a little paragraph saying that this will happen, but there is all this that you guys can do. There is all working yourselves. The world won't go through a cataclysm to change everything from day to night, every one of you expect, but it will be slow, but depends just on you. And the change on you can be faster if you wish, if you work. So the invitation today is feel it. The world's changing. And we do have a really good chance to help this new world be developed with our own hard work. And also raising the hand. This is the true charity. Raise the hand and come with me. The charity is nothing to do about just giving what I have more than I need and leaving it back to me, but working hard to make that brother or sister. Let's go together. Let's push that curve together. All right? Any questions? Any comments? Any disagreements? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your attention. I believe the kids have something nice to show us about the virtue of the month.
What? This way. That way. This way. Like this. Like this. Oh, gosh. Where's Chloe? I lost Chloe. Okay, you guys, so what's the virtue of the month? What's the virtue of the month?
Justice.
Justice. Awesome. And can anybody read for us what justice is, according to La Cordere? Clara, please.
All men are equal on the divine scale of justice. Only virtue marks the distinction in the eyes of God.
Okay. So and then they wrote on the poster in what ways we are the same. What God gives us that is the same. We all have opportunities, love, our hearts are the same, smiles, pain, laughs, feelings. Is fair, brains, is fair the same as equals?
No.
No, what's the difference between equals and fair?
Fair is everyone gets the same thing, and equal or fair. Equal is everyone gets the same thing, and fair is getting what you need.
Exactly, and that's what gives us, right? Not the same for everyone, but what we need. All right. Awesome job, guys.
Good job.
Okay, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down.
Hey, Mama.
Hello.